Good morning, Raptor Freaks and Tempo Freak. Alexi out here, and it's Wednesday, and we're doing a Wow Wednesday. Wow. We have a couple things to wow about that are, good, bad, ugly, as usual. There's a good, a bad, and the ugly. And, we'll start out with the good, which is the subject for today, which is the WNBA 3-point shootout at All-Star Weekend. The participants were announced yesterday, and Marina Mabrey is in the field and will be participating in the 3-point shootout, which is awesome. I love this so much because, you know, I feel like she's had such a great year behind the arc that it's only fitting that she should be in the 3-point shootout. Yeah. This isn't the first time she's done it, though, guys. She actually was in the 3-point shootout at All-Star, even though she wasn't an All-Star 2 years ago. And that was when she was on Connecticut Sun. And she came in last in the whole entire field at that All-Star 3-point shootout. She was the last place. So it's the thing. Marina has changed her life a lot since that time. She's on an expansion team in Canada. She has a different off-season workout. She's worked on her conditioning. She's blossomed in Unrival. She's got tied the most points ever in a WNBA game this season of 53. So it's not the same Mabrey as 2 years ago in the All-Star Weekend 3-point shootout where she got last. Yeah. Yeah, another tempo player that did participate in the 3-point shootout at WNBA weekend at one point was Kia Nurse. Did you guys know that Kia Nurse was in the 3-point shootout in 2019, the year the Raptors won the championship? And she lost to one of the Sun, Shakina Strickland, won that year. But Kia Nurse has participated in this contest. You know, the WNBA 3-point shootout has not been consistently happening the whole 30 years that the league has been in existence. It actually didn't start the first year that they did it. They didn't do it until 2006, which is like 10 years into the league's existence. And then there's huge gaps where they didn't do it at all. Like they did it from 2006 to 2010, but then they didn't do it again until 2017. And since then, they've pretty much done it every year since then. So, yeah, there's a limited amount of 3-point shootout winners in the history of the WNBA. The person who's won the most 3-point shootouts is Allie Quigley that played for the Chicago Sky. She won 4 championships, 2017, 2018, 2021, and 2022. The only other person to win it twice is Sabrina Ionescu of the New York Liberty. She won the last year's one, and she also won in 2023. Now, Sabrina is not participating in this year's shootout, which is interesting to me. You'd think she'd maybe want to defend her championship, but maybe she's a little bit nagging injuries. I don't know. But either way, Ionescu is not in the field for this year. And then the other notable absence from the field is Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark has never participated in the 3-point shootout in her young WNBA career. She said she was going to do it last year, but she backed out at the last moment because of injury. And this year, they're kind of using the same excuse that she's been kind of low-key injured this season and on a minutes restriction. And another thing they're saying is, well, she doesn't want to take away from the spotlight of everybody else because she is such a lightning rod and such a focal point when she's involved in anything. So I don't know. In some ways, some people have said that part of the reason why Caitlin Clark won't do the 3-point shootout is because it's not her type of 3-point shooting that fits that kind of competition. Her type of 3-point shooting isn't conducive to it to be successful. And that many have speculated that if she did do it, she'd probably fail and she'd hurt her brand and her earnings and her standing and how people look at her. It's similar to why a lot of NBA players will not do the dunk competition because they'll feel like maybe that'll hurt their brand if they don't win it. And the chances of winning these competitions are tough because if you have a field of 6 or 8, well, you're 1-6 or 1-8, and it's no guarantee that you're going to win. And some people are worried about this and image more than actual fun and doing something just because to do it. It's the same reason why LeBron never ever did the dunk competition in the NBA's history, which is a tragedy, honestly. A lot of the greats did. Michael did it many, many times. Dominique, DeMar DeRozan did the dunk competition. Kobe Bryant did it at some point. I think it's just like, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it, LeBron? At least once, and at least while you were younger. I don't know. Caitlin, you're going to have to do a 3-point shootout at some point because the noise about you not doing one will build and build over the years. And I understand maybe there's some really earnest reasons for not doing the 3-point shootout this season at All-Star. Injury, don't want to take away from the spotlight. But honestly, I want to see Caitlin versus Marina. I want to see Marina versus Sabrina. But we're not going to get it. The other person that was invited to come and shoot out in the shootout that declined was Caleb McBride of the Minnesota Lynx. She's done the competition quite a few times in the past. If she came and did it, it would have been like her fourth time being in the competition. Fourth time, I believe. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. She's done it 3 times already, so it would have been her fourth time. So maybe Kayla's like, I don't want to do it this year for whatever reason. So the field for the 3-point shootout will be our Marina Mabrey, Atlanta Dreams Ryan Howard, who is up there near the top of the 3-point stats this year in the WNBA with Mabrey. Rookie as number 1 pick, Azzy Fudd, will be in this competition. Canadian Bridget Carlton of the expansion Portland Fire is in the field. Seattle Storm's Natasha Heidemann is in the competition. And the group is rounded out with Golden State Valkyries players, French woman Janelle Saloum, who absolutely torched the tempo in the first game against the Valkyries this season. So it's an interesting field. It's not it's a few names that I wouldn't have expected, like Heidemann and Saloon, and maybe even Carlton. Azzy Fudd, she's a number 1 pick. It's an interesting pick, but definitely Howard and Mabrey should be in there. But if I had my dream matchup, it'd be like Mabrey, Howard, Clark, Ionescu, maybe Citron, and Fudd or something like that. I don't know, because there's some top-notch shooters in this league, and well, they're declining. They're declining from the competition, but not Marina Mabrey. Nope. She's going to go do it. And hopefully she can represent the tempo right. But yeah, the history of the WNBA's 3-point shootout is interesting. I've been studying it the last day or so just to see who's been involved in it at different times and who's won it and when they did it and when they didn't. Somebody who won the 3-point shootout in the WNBA is Aces coach Becky Hammon. Becky Hammon is a former 3-point winner for the All-Star weekend. When she played in 2009, she won it with the San Antonio Silver Stars. But the first ever WNBA 3-point shootout winner is the great Dawn Staley. And it was when she was playing for Houston Comets. And she won the first ever competition in 2006. So yeah, just a little history on the WNBA's 3-point shootout and what has happened in the past. Yeah, let's see what Trevor Jay's saying this morning. His words of wisdom: if you're not at peace with yourself, then nothing you attract will bring you peace. It's an interesting thing. I don't know if this is totally true, but this is something to wonder about. I mean, what is actual peace in anybody? Everybody's going to have an inner conflict to a certain extent. In some ways, I call horse shit because this is the thing. You could be in a really bad place and an angel could come into your life and bring you more peace, even if your life is not peaceful in the least. So I call horse shit on this words of wisdom. I think you can be in a tumultuous, not peaceful place, and somebody can come and help you get out of there. and they could be exactly the right person. So this one I don't accept. I'm sorry. I just don't, It's good to be at peace and try and be at peace, but really what is that, Trevor? There's nobody that gets to that point. This is something that Buddhist monks sit at in temples in mountains for lifetimes, and they never achieve it themselves. And you would go and look at them and you'd be like, these are the most peaceful people in the world. But inner turmoil and inner conflict in the mind is such a difficult thing to put at peace, to clear and get exactly right. I mean, what is the point of absolute peacefulness? Is it even possible? Is what I would say. I'm a philosopher, Trevor. And if I'm going to get words of wisdom from you guys, I'm going to break it down. I'm not just going along with them. I'm going to break it down and I'm going to try and see if there's viableness to it. And this one, I'm going to say, no, man. You got to understand there's angels in this world, social workers, people that work in incarceration places, people that work in social services and different places that will help people put that hand out and hold them and grab them and pull them out. But even the people that are out there saying they're the most peaceful people in the world, they've got all kinds of inner conflicts that they're lying about and they won't talk about. So I don't know if this is even possible to be completely at peace with yourself. Everybody's got a little thing that bugs them, whether it's big or small or whether it's important or not. So, yeah, I'll call bullshit on this one. I'm sorry, Trevor. Blessings to the Jones family and all the Raptor Freak families. That's right. Trevor's saying this. I leave like Mabrey can win the 3-point contest. I leave like Mabrey. I think he's trying to say, I believe Mabrey can win the 3-point competition. For sure. I mean, of course, she's our favorite up here in Toronto to win, but we'll have to see how realistic that is. As we said in her prior appearance in it, she got dead last, guys. She did the worst out of everybody 2 years ago in the competition. But 2 years is 2 years ago, and she's changed as a person. In some ways, she's become more at peace with herself. That's part of the change for her. She's been a work in progress with peace, having peace with herself. And she's got a little bit higher percentage of peace in herself at this point, but she doesn't have total peace. That's for sure. That's for sure. She still doesn't have total peace. Yeah, I'd love to see her win. I'd love to see her win. I believe the competition's on Friday night, and that's when we'll be able to watch Marina Mabrey shoot it out with the other WNBA 3-point shooters. Yeah, I believe it's that night. That night. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Trevor J saying this. 2027 NBA All-Star Game will be in Phoenix, Arizona, February 19th through 21st. That's the NBA All-Star Weekend. Yeah, don't get me confused. Yeah, that's a long time from now. That's next year. I believe they announced this around the All-Star Weekend earlier this year. So we've known this since February. This is not news because they always do this. They do the All-Star Weekend in the place they're doing it, which I forget where it was this year. I think it was Indianapolis. And then near the end of it, they say, well, we're going to be back next year in Phoenix for the All-Star Weekend. So this has been common knowledge for 6 months, I believe, that the All-Star Weekend would be there. Yeah. Trevor's saying this. Summer League's first team and second team came out, and Alan Graves isn't on any team. Yeah, I noticed this yesterday. Everything that the Raptors get, they have to go above and beyond. And sometimes they have to do the full thing plus half to get to any kind of accolades or recognition. And this is just par for the course. I wasn't expecting us to get any recognition in Summer League. I really wasn't. If you're really honest with yourself, Alan Graves did fantastic, but he didn't do exemplary like some of the other more highlighted rookies in the rookie class, the top of the league, the hit list, right? Like AJ and Darren Peterson and Boozer and Caleb Wilson. These guys actually came to Summer League as top 5, top 10 picks and kicked ass. And they came and brought the product that they're going to be. So they're going to get way more spotlight. In some ways, the hierarchy is, top 10 picks are going to get looked at first before 19th pick. Now, Allen did fantastic. Allen was fine. But in some ways, Allen wasn't dropping almost 30 points all the games that he played. He was a very steady all-around game, but he didn't have huge flashy numbers. Like some of these guys had like 34, 35, 40 points. and they were hooping. And that's why. But yeah, I don't look at this as a snub. In some ways, we didn't do well enough as a team to get into the Final Four, which that would have gave us an all-star. That would have gave us somebody on those teams. If we had gotten to the Final Four and played for the championship in the Final Four, the semifinal to the final, they would have put a Raptor on there, at least one on that either first or second team. But because we missed the cut, because we didn't really play for anything important, even though, and we also flubbed the last game, so our record was only 3-2. There's, if we had finished 4-1, they probably would have taken a good hard look at us and maybe put Alan Graves on there. But I think we just missed the cut in a couple of different ways. Not getting to the Final Four, not winning the last game, so we were 3-2, and Alan Graves having a good all-around game, but not really a monster scoring game. And that's what kept him out. Nobody else on our team was deserving. Nobody, not even Seth Lundy. So I'm not surprised by this. And I don't look at this as really a snub. I look at this as kind of the NBA being the NBA. And that it's just, we didn't deserve it, honestly. Because in some ways, we got to go above and beyond to get our awards, as I said earlier. Yeah, Mr. Greg saying this. Clark is not a great three-point shooter at only 33%. And Sabrina's already proven by almost beating Steph Curry in their head-to-head. Yeah, but doesn't she want to defend her title? Maybe she's not like Dame Lillard, where she wants to keep showing up and keep doing it. Who knows? I mean, is she slightly hurt? That could be part of the factoring in too. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense with Caitlin. I've been hearing that, everybody says Caitlin's this, Caitlin's that, but in some ways, Caitlin is not exactly what they've said. She'll make big, huge half court or logo shots, but maybe overall the percentage isn't actually really there for her 3-point shooting overall. I think that it's hype. And in some ways, it's the kind of thing where that player of that caliber with that kind of attention makes it even bigger when she's involved. But I still like my idea of mashing it up, the NBA and the WNBA against each other in the same competition. And let's see Caitlin against Steph Curry, just like Sabrina against Dame Lillard and those guys versus WNBA top shooters. And maybe Mabrey's involved in that too, which is cool. But yeah, this makes sense. But the one thing I would say is Sabrina just won it last year. Why doesn't she come back and try and defend it? Well, somebody else can win it this year then, I guess, because she could get in the record books getting higher with more championships. In the NBA, there's 3 guys that won the shootout 3 times: Craig Hodges, Dame Lillard, and Larry Bird. And there's only 2 that have won multiple, and it's that Ali Quickly and Sabrina Ionescu. So yeah, we'll have to see. Isaac's here. Good morning to Isaac. Get your shots up, rinse and repeat. That's right. It's summertime. If you got access to a ball and a hoop, get out there and put those shots up, like Isaac's saying. That's right. Get that time in. There's been some rain the last couple of days here in Ontario, which has been fantastic. The gardens are very happy from the rain. So hopefully it dries up and gets sunny out there. But even if it's raining, old Magic Johnson would tell you, get out there and shoot even in the rain. Don't take any time off. That's right. Isaac, great to see you here today. All right, let me just check in with the CBL. There were a couple games last night. We had Calgary and Vancouver last night, and this was a 93-86 victory for the Calgary Surge, which is interesting. I would think that Vancouver would have won this game, but they rose up and Surge got it. They were led by Rutsey, Sean Miller-Moore with 18 points. It's an all-round attack for them overall. Vancouver Bandits were led by Tyrese Samuel, who had 20 points and 10 rebounds. Another double-double for the big man who played for Raptors 905 last year. Yeah, Jarkel Joyner off the bench with 19 points himself. But yeah, disappointing loss for Vancouver to Calgary. And Calgary is just trying to eke out some more wins before the end of the season's up and we get to the playoffs. Playoffs teams have been getting playoff berths and getting into the playoffs. So a couple teams have already qualified for the playoffs, and that's Scarborough, Winnipeg, and Vancouver. They're all already in the playoffs. So maybe Vancouver doesn't care because they already know they're in. The other game out west was a close one. It was between Saskatoon Mamba and Edmonton Stingers, and it was 96-94 in the target score time at the end, just by 2. And Saskatoon is coming out on top over Edmonton in this battle of the West. Yeah, Saskatoon got 31 points from Jameer Chaplin. Fantastic output by him there. And then on the other side, Edmonton was led by 17 points by Stanley Davis Jr. off the bench. So, yeah, big win for Saskatoon. And with the standings and everything the way they are, they stay above Edmonton by 1.5 games. But, yeah, Edmonton still got a good lead over Calgary, even though they are surging up the standings to an extent with another win, and they're only 2 games behind Edmonton. So there is a chance that the Surge do get in the playoffs after all, because they've been playing way better in recent weeks, and they're kind of trying to get up there to one of the bottom spot. Yeah, on the Eastern side, Montreal has fallen out of the playoffs, and they are now a whole game behind Niagara for the last spot. So, yeah, there's your CBL check-in. There is a game tonight, and it is one that I will be watching. It's a rematch of Scarborough versus Ottawa. It'll take place at the arena at TD Place in Ottawa. And, well, Scarborough's got some get back to get against the Ottawa Blackjacks for beating them in Pan Am Center and taking the first victory against them on that court. They had not lost at home until Ottawa beat them last weekend on Saturday. So, yeah, this is a get-back game for Scarborough, and we'll see if they do a better job and get back on the winning side of things. They've lost a couple games recently, which is not like them. It's not like them. So, yeah, I'll be watching that game. 7:30 p.m. Eastern is the tip-off. You can watch it for free on YouTube, also on CBC Gem or CBL Plus. Scarborough at Ottawa, CBL action tonight. Yeah, I'm excited about that one. I'm really hoping that Scarborough can get back to their winning ways. Hopefully, Miles Powell will be back, and Tarquavion Smith will kind of chill out. Chill out, Smith. You just came in. This will be your 3rd game back, and your first game was phenomenal. Your second game was too much and hurting the team. So maybe you can dial it back a little bit and let Miles Powell take over and be Batman. You can be Robin. They always talk about that. That's something that Rob Black always brings up in the telecast. Who is Batman and who is Robin on the team? Because there's always like a 1-2 punch for the Scarborough Shooting Stars. And he always wants to call one Batman and one Robin. Last year, Batman was Donovan Williams and Tarquavion Smith was Robin. Well, this year, it's looking like Miles Powell is Batman and Tarquavion Smith is Robin again. And the guy who does the game with Rob Black said, wait, Rob Black, if they got Frank Mitchell too, who's the Hulk, and they've got Amir Sims, who's like Iron Man, don't they have the Avengers instead of just Batman and Robin? Because the Scarborough Shooting Stars don't just have a duo. They've got a whole team. And they should be called the Avengers, not Batman and Robin. Because you could probably find a Hawkeye, a Thor, a Doctor Strange. All of them. All of them in that team. That's right. Anthony Walker. So many good players on that team. Javon Johnson, Tynes. Yeah, so many good players on Scarborough. So many good players on Scarborough. That's right. Trevor's saying this. Peace with yourself comes in different ways because some people will never be happy with themselves. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think most people are, to the whole point. This is the thing, Trevor. This is very deep philosophical things. What is absolute peace? What is nirvana? What is a state of euphoria where you go to a place where there is no trouble or anything in the world? You can either not deny the world's problems and just go to an isolated, focused place where you just are in your own consciousness that has nothing to do with anybody else. You got to understand, buddy, this is my life's work you're talking about right here. Because, one of the things that old Lex is doing out here in the woods is like monk stuff where I meditate heavy and I think about inner peace and stillness and all these kind of subjects in a way deeper than most people do, because they're in the rat race, running around in cars and driving around and worrying about this and that. I have a clear mind and I'm on a quest for this kind of stuff. And this is not easy or simple. And most people in society are living unconsciously, and they're not even aware of what peace and peace isn't, because they're filled with the made up world that is absolutely artificial. When you get to the real thing about energy and light and love and peace, it has nothing to do with cars and jobs and money systems. It has to do with a biological organism that we are human beings, Homo sapiens. So that you can mask it, you can make it up in your head, you can talk about this in all kinds of different ways and justify it, but it's not the reality of it, because none of us live in a place where we can actually have absolute peace, because we live in a fabricated society of bullshit. And that's it right there, Trevor. So you can tell yourself, well, I've got an easy life. I have a good job. I've got a wife. I've got a beautiful house. I've got all this. I'm at peace. There's always something there. There's always something. And it may be little and not that consequential, but there's always something. The person that sits in the top of the mountain in Tibet that doesn't have anything in their life except for their own thought is closer than anybody else that is running around working a 9 to 5. So there's levels to this, Trevor. And understand that in some ways, my journey is unlike most people's journey, because I have the time to actually go into these places, much like the guy on the mountaintop that Victor Wembanyama went to go visit. So yeah, there's levels to this, bro. And you can think in a world of material goods, Madonna's material world, you could go ahead and think that you find peace in that. But I would say it's a non-starter, because just associating yourself with the bullshit fabricated world that we have made here disqualifies you from getting there. That's it right there. That's it right there. That's it right there. It's deep stuff, man. And they fill us with so much stuff to worry about that it's really hard to get to that point. Let's just put it that way. It's really, really hard to get to that point. Yeah. Trevor J saying this also. Aja Wilson's still the better player, 3-time champion MVP, but still looks past. Looks past. What does this mean? I did listen to Aja Wilson's interview after the game, after the Tempo game the other day, and she's very well spoken. I appreciate her. In some ways, she talked a lot about some stuff that had to do with we're not at 10 yet. She talked a lot about stuff about how the league is growing and how the Toronto crowd made her feel, and how she feels like it's a very interesting and growth of the WNBA, and how boisterous and how much the energy was, and she really liked it. Like she's a great face of the league. Let's just put it that way. I hadn't really heard her in a lot of interviews until like that interview. And she's just really well spoken. She's really mature in the way she carries herself. And she's a great beacon of an example for the league. Wilson, she's so good. And she is really good player. Really, really good player. Oh my gosh, Wilson's good. And she's definitely the best player in the WNBA. Call me back in like 5 minutes, because we're still a little bit before, actually about 10 minutes. All right, Liberal's back in here. Good morning, Liberal. Good to see you. Hey, brother, hope you're doing well. Just listening while I work. Have a blessed day. Yeah, thank you. Back at you. I hope that you have a fine day also, and that you find good luck and good fortune, and things work out in the best ways, and the little things, as far as things like, maybe something as stupid as like a red light, or somebody smiling at you, or something funny happens where it makes you smile. Those kind of things are great. But yeah, good to see you back in the chat, and thanks for subscribing to the channel. Yeah, Infamous, call me back in like 10 minutes, because I am still trying to do that rule about like no calls till after 10. All right, let me keep going. Let's do the Raptors Redditor of the day real quick here. There's an interesting interview out with Vaughn Alexander, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's father. Now, SGA's dad comes to Raptors games constantly. He's constantly at Raptors games. Like, he comes all the time. He was at one this year, and he was hanging out with Monique, the super fan Lawrence. And he was seen at the playoffs watching the Raptors play against Cleveland. And everybody's like, whoa, Gilgeous-Alexander's dad's here. Oh, SGA to Toronto confirmed, saying stuff like that. But that's not what SGA's dad's saying in this interview that just came out. I want to give credit to Melodic Driver 4754, for being the Raptors Redder of the Day, for posting this interview. And he says basically this: SGA's dad says that SGA will never leave Oklahoma City for Toronto because family would always be asking him for tickets, and he doesn't see him leaving for a big market with nightlife distractions. SGA is perfect where he is in Oklahoma City, and I don't think he will ever leave there. I could have told you guys this is probably true when people keep talking about him coming here. I mean, there's one thing about the dream of playing for the Raptors and being a kid from Ontario, and then there's the reality of it. And RJ faces that right now. In fact, that was part of the big decision that RJ made about, being around the Raptors is tough because he's got all of his schoolyard friends. He's got all of his past history people from his life. And he has to insulate himself and kind of keep people away from him at arm's length because there will be a lot of demands of his time and for tickets and things like that. So, Rowan Barrett Sr. and his family have done a really good job of protecting RJ and allowing him a bubble space to kind of work out and do what he needs to do to be the best professional he can be with no distractions. But that was a big concern when RJ Barrett returned to Toronto to be a Raptor. SGA would be the same thing. Now, I don't think SGA is a big nightlife guy, obviously, because he lives in Oklahoma City and they ain't no nightlife there. And that's actually a thing that's in his favor, because he is a stylish guy. And it does seem like he would be the kind of person that could get drawn out into nightlife and being around people and just being seen with his wife. And, but I think that this makes sense. I think that people don't realize the demands of being a hometown hero and being your hometown market can be with people that are near you. Part of the problem, it could be also that you lose friends and relatives that you care about because they're pissed off at you because you won't do the favors they're asking. So it's a whole kit and caboodle that maybe you just don't want to get into. Things are fine there. We know that SGA is a man of routine, and that's part of where his success spawns from. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And things in Oklahoma City are working just fine for him. I'm sure that Thunder fans that may happen to hear me say this are saying, thank you, Raptors Freak, because I've heard y'all up in Toronto pining and wanting SGA for years now on your team. And it's annoying to us because we love him here and we want him to be on this team. Well, Vaughn Alexander in his interview has said that he's probably not going to leave Oklahoma City. And that would make sense because he's a premium top player and they should throw any amount of money at him that he can earn because he is that. And he should probably stay in their jersey for the rest of his career. Some people will say the recent exit of Dort may actually lead to some dominoes that fall in an order where SGA does leave Oklahoma City for some reason. He is very close with Lou Getz, and he did lobby the front office, Sam Presti of the Thunder, to keep Lou in the fold with the Thunder. And well, they didn't do that. They moved on from Lou Getz. So maybe there's a little bit of a sliver of a fracture between the front office and SGA over Dort getting traded. But I would probably think that it's probably justified to him in a way that's good for the team. And SGA will be like, all right, but I enjoy playing with him. But at least I get to still play with him on Team Canada. So, yeah, thank you to Melodic Driver 4754. You're the Raptors Redder of the Day for posting the interview with Vaughn Alexander where he says he'll never leave Oklahoma City for Toronto. Listen to this, Toronto Raptors Nation, and respect this because that's his dad, and he knows. He knows. That's right. That's his dad. He knows. He knows. That's right. Infamous saying, my apologies, Lex. I dialed you by accident. Oh, it's all good, man. I want you to call me. You can call me back. It's just I want to do the run up and a couple things. I could have probably answered the phone there, but I wanted to make my point about Asia Wilson. But yeah, you can call back if you want to. I'll take your call. At this point, it's good. Let's see. Medved Ted's here. Good morning, Medved Ted. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you, Trevor. Also, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be making $68 million a year next year. He won't leave Oklahoma City as long as they keep extending him and giving him super max contracts. There's certain players in this league that should be a one-team player. Now, SGA will not be because he got traded from the Clippers to Oklahoma City, but he should stay there for the rest of his career now that he's known as an MVP and probably one of the maybe the best player in the world. Victor Wembanyama is another name that comes to mind, even though Victor is allowing himself to be out on a discount so that the Spurs can have more cap flexibility. But he's somebody who should be locked up for his whole entire career in San Antonio and never, ever change teams. Our guy, Scott, he's another one. Scotty Barnes should get the exact amount that he wants at the highest level every single time it comes up with extensions and new contracts. And he should stay a Raptor his whole entire career also, because these guys are a certain level of talent, a once in a lifetime talent, and they should be coveted and they should be paid exactly that way and kept in the fold. If teams are allowed to have one dude that is like, yeah, no, this guy's staying here for good, and it's good because he's so good, he's top of the league, and also we love him and it's a great fit. Teams should be able to do this like Larry Bird before and other great players like Tim Duncan that stayed on one team their whole entire career. Giannis is a good example of this. Giannis should have been this, but the league got too antsy and pulled it apart in some ways. Yeah, they got too antsy with marketing and wanting Giannis in a different place for freshening up and all this kind of stuff. So, if you can get a marquee player like SGA or Wemby or Scotty on your team for the whole entire career without any interference by the league, that's good. But who's to say that years down the road, maybe 5, 6, 7 years from now, the league is pushing to dislodge Wemby out of San Antonio, and bullshit like that. What about Scott? Yeah, that's things I worry about. Is that at some point people will say, oh, you need to get out. That's why we need to be successful in Toronto, because success will cement him and make him stay here as long as long. If our team was run poorly and we had a bad front office and we were inept and things like that were happening, people would get upset and maybe be like, yeah, I can't be here anymore because I'm wasting my career. So we got to keep going forward and be a very top-notch organization. And in some ways, that's how teams keep their franchise player happy and keep them around. The Thunder have had such a early rise to success with SGA getting the championship last year and being a 2-time MVP that, there is possible that it's similar to like the Bucks, where they get to that height and they have trouble getting back up there. And then there's years of futility, failure, and not getting back there. And then things get toxic. And then things kind of go in a weird way where all of a sudden Giannis is in Miami. And, that could happen with SGA. That could happen with Wemby. That could happen with anybody in this league where they have early success and the success is not sustained and there's more failure and things are going downhill. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we're switching things up. It's kind of like what happened with Milwaukee. It's kind of like what happened there. Yeah, it's an interesting situation. And I do see SGA staying on the Thunder for a long, long time. Long time. That's right. All right, let me do the straight goods on Canadian goods real quick. Today I've got a can of soup, and it comes to us from Montana's Barbecue and Bar. And well, did y'all know that they did soups? Like this is a rib soup. Like I used to like to eat chunky soups when I grew up in the States. Chunky brand, but Chunky is American, and I ain't eating Chunky ever again for the rest of my life. But you can get equivalents of that kind of thing from up here, and Montana's Bar and Grill has got a ribs kind of chunky soup right here. Yeah, ribs with style soup with vegetables, and you can see the good stuff in there. But yeah, this is 100% Canadian product. There's the symbol on the side there, and yeah, you want to make switches. I went out to the mall yesterday to buy some things. I was talking to the sales clerk at the mall and saying, I'm trying to buy everything as Canadian as possible and everything I do. And I'm searching through and saying like this product and this kind of product, can I find the Canadian equivalent? And if I can't, I'll go and find the non-American equivalent of whatever it is. Because seriously, this stuff with Trump and tariffs on and tariffs off, this bullshit about the wildfires and saying all this crazy crap about us, trying to stir some shit up. Elbows up isn't just enough, guys.
We've got to punch them economically. And that is avoiding all American products. It's just the best way to be the best Canadian right now. And I know a lot of people are already doing it, and every little bit of it counts. You know, if you can't give up that Starbucks coffee, which I think it should be very easy for you to do, you can go to Second Cup. You know, every little choice that you make that goes towards this kind of thinking is helpful. It's all a drop in the bucket, and it all adds up overall. So don't think that making a decision to boycott American products is frivolous or not going to do anything. It is absolutely doing something. And it will help strengthen our economy because we're spending money on our own people, our own jobs, and our own companies. And, you know, we've too much for too long blindly spent our money, and our money goes into profits that go across the border. And why would we enrich companies in that country across there that is threatening us and talking all kinds of crazy batshit kind of stuff right now? So, yeah, do what you can. Every little decision counts. And if it's getting a Montana's ribs soup instead of a chunky soup, that matters, and that will help. That will help the situation because there's millions of us. And if we all make these kind of decisions, well, we have economic power. We very much do. And that's something that people need to remember. That's something that people need to remember. Let's do the Redditor of the day for the Tempo. And it's Kerfuffles. Kerfuffles 80 is usually the Toronto Tempo Redditor of the day. And Kerfuffles is bringing to us that there is going to be an important game for Team Canada, senior women's team, tomorrow. Maybe today, actually. It's today. Team Canada will be playing UCLA in an exhibition game in Victoria, British Columbia today on the 22nd. The game is going to be today. It's Whoop It Up. And we're going to see Kayla Alexander playing in this game, along with Yvonne Ejim, who has the rights with the Tempo. The Tempo have the rights to Ejim, and Kayla Alexander, who just was playing for us on the hardship contracts. So, yeah, this is going to be 7 p.m. Pacific time. So that's later on. So I guess that's like 10 p.m. our time here. But, yeah, you can watch it live on Canada Basketball's YouTube channel tonight. So maybe I'll be watching that as a doubleheader. I'll watch the Scarborough game at 7:30, and then afterwards I'll watch the Canadian women's team play UCLA. That'd be an interesting game to watch with Kiki Rice and see her watching her teammate Kayla Alexander from the Tempo playing against her former alma mater of UCLA in this game out in Vancouver. It's in Victoria, actually, at the Save On Foods Memorial Center. So if you're in Victoria and you want to see some basketball action, the senior women's Canadian basketball team will be playing against UCLA today. So check it out. You know, somebody's saying that they wish Kayla stays healthy. But you know what? I would say this. I don't even know if Kayla's for sure coming back to the Tempo. That's the thing we've got to realize is like she's on hardship contracts that are short and they're going to run out. And it may not be in the cards to re-sign Kayla Alexander to the team. All right, Infamous, thank you for calling back. All right, let's see. Good morning, Infamous.
Good morning, Lex. It's always a pleasure to speak to you.
I appreciate it, man. I'm sorry I wasn't exactly ready in the first call.
No, it's my mistake. I was actually trying to make an appointment. I was making a call to an appointment.
Oh, okay. So it was a misdial, and you were calling somebody else. Okay.
Yeah, my apologies.
No, it's okay, man. My apologies. So, hey, do you have a trivia for me today?
Oh yeah, you know I always have a trivia for you.
Awesome. I love this. I actually am looking forward to your trivias.
Oh yeah, I got a good one for you too. I just wanted to touch briefly on the SGA situation.
Sure.
I used to date a girl that was with the family.
With the Alexander family?
Yes, good friends with the brother. And not to give away too much, it would not be a good idea for him to come here, for him to play here for one reason. A lot of the people are in his circle. There's still some people in his circles that are quote unquote associated with the streets.
Gotcha.
I'll just leave it right.
Yeah,
I'll leave it right there. So
I mean,
I get what the dad's saying.
I mean, I get the vibe from Vaughn that the man's not that far from it himself. Sometimes, you know, just because he's got that kind of I want to say is an aura, or just kind of like, you know, he's a real guy like that.
Right.
You know, because when I hear Von Alexander talk, I'm like, okay, this guy's serious in some ways. That is like that. So yeah, this makes sense. This is part of the problem that I think that Delano Banton might have had when he was playing for the Raptors. So
correct.
yeah,
So
this makes sense. This makes sense. Yeah. Awesome. And I love hearing that you have this intel because of dating somebody from the family. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. It was a while back. I got a good trivia for you. This is a little bit tough.
Okay, I got stumped last time. I got to get this one.
Oh, this one is tough, but I think you can get some of it.
Okay.
Okay. One of the most famous families in Canada in wrestling is the Hart family.
Yeah.
Right? We all know that, right? So can you tell me, I'm going to give you, there's a three-part question. Can you tell me how many siblings there are?
Oh my gosh.
How many boys?
Oh my gosh.
And can you name at least 5 of the boys?
Okay. I'm up for this task. All right. This is, in some ways, I feel like this should be on the test for like Canadian citizenship.
Yeah, this is tough.
All right. Okay. I believe that Helen Hart, bless her soul, bless her soul, Stu and Helen, I believe they had 13 kids. I'm close. They had 12.
A little bit lower.
Oh, okay. I get a third choice, and if I'm not getting it on this one, then I'm wrong. Okay. We'll say that there were 10.
No, 11.
11. Oh, I just missed it. All right. Now you want me to do the breakdown by sex, like how many girls and how many boys?
Yes, please, if you can.
I believe in that 11, there were actually 4 girls and 7 boys.
You are absolutely correct.
Yes. All right. I got that. All right. Now, how many of the Hart brothers can I name? Can I name sisters too?
Yes, you can. Sure.
All right. Well, I'll try and name brothers first. Of course, Bret the Hitman Hart I'm gonna take that one for sure. And Owen Hart, the Blue Blazer. There's also Ross Hart.
Ross, yes.
There's Bruce Hart.
Correct.
There's there's one that had a really weird name. And he was kind of a jerk, and he was older, and he kind of like didn't stay in wrestling. All right, I think I'm gonna switch to ladies. Diana Hart, the wife of British Bulldog.
Correct.
And then there's Martha Hart. No, wait, Martha was Owen's.
No, I don't have.
No, it's no Martha.
No, there's no Martha.
Okay, who's the mother of Natty? Oh, Ellie Hart.
Yes, that's correct. That is correct. Ellie's one.
So I've got 5.
Yeah.
Man, I want.
So you've already named 5.
But I think I can go further.
Go ahead.
Did I say Ross? I said Bruce.
Ross, Bruce.
So I've done 6. And then there's who is that asshole older brother that I keep forgetting that Brett always says, yeah, he was such a jerk. He has like a weird name that it's kind of like not normally a first name. He has like a last name as a first name.
Yes, Smith.
Smith, that's right. Yeah, Smith Hart. That's who I was thinking of. All right. Yeah. Can you name the rest of them for me? Because I can't off the top of my head.
What I got here is Smith, Ross, Bruce, Keith, Wayne, Dean. Yeah.
Oh man. Of course, these guys were all in that match with Shawn Michaels that was supposed to be Jerry Lawler and his Knights, but Jerry Lawler got hurt. So Shawn Michaels was in charge, and there were a bunch of guys with masks, and it was Brett with his brothers, and it was like Ross and Keith and Bruce.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yes, I remember.
They actually had like that was a Survivor Series match, I believe. Yeah. Great questions, man. I think I did okay. I should have known.
You did excellent.
11.
I'll be honest with you. I would have only been able to name Owen and Brett. That's probably, and maybe Smith.
Yeah,
maybe Smith, because I think I do remember Smith.
Most of them were on like the Stampede Wrestling, and I didn't watch a whole lot of that, but all of them ended up on there at some point doing a little bit of wrestling there. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's get to the tempo.
All right, awesome. Let's go.
I'm congratulations to Eminem. I'm so proud of her. I'm so happy for her being in the 3-point contest. I think it's great. It's going to be great publicity for the tempo. I think she'll do very well, but I'm going to have to be very honest. Her shooting style is not conducive to a 3-point contest. I'm going to be honest.
That may be true. Although I think she changed her shot a bit. So I don't know. The way she throws, she just tosses it up like that. That I would say, I would make the argument that her style is quick enough to be quick in the clock, but you know, the accuracy, it's such a feel for how she makes these shots.
Yeah, the accuracy. The person that I wish that was in Sabrina has the technique and the form for the 3-point contest. And McBride, I'm surprised she's not in it, because I love. She has such a quick release, man. I mean, her release is amazing.
I think it's more that she's just done it so many times, and maybe like they have she's never won it though, too. That's the other thing. She could keep coming there and keep losing it, and then it doesn't look good. And I think also the Lynx are in a weird place where they're about to get Collier back, because I heard that she's coming back for our game.
she's playing tonight.
She's playing tonight, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the Lynx might be all business, and McBride's kind of like, yeah, I don't want to do the extracurricular or anything like that. So.
If I could pick one person, I say Ryan Howard. I think she might get it.
We'll have to see. Of course, I'm going to be majorly rooting for Marina, and hopefully she can just be unconscious and just kind of like get into a weird zone and just like toss them up there, and they're all going in.
And speaking of the WNBA, I just want to touch a little bit on Asia. Asia is such an incredible ambassador for the league. I love her. To me personally, she is the face of the league. I know other people want to say, you know, it's Caitlin and all that. No, in my honest opinion, you can make the argument, and people have made this argument, that Asia is the best basketball player in the world.
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday, actually.
Fair argument. That is a fair argument. Yeah, based on her accolades and achievements, yes.
Well, she is very dominant in the league, and that's one of the ways to look at it, is like she's playing against her peers, and she is pretty much like a few categories above everybody else.
Yes.
So,
and can I make one point about the game against the Aces?
Sure.
I believe the Aces were toying with it. They figured us out in the first quarter, and I think the rest of once they figured us out, they were just toying with us for the rest of the game.
Well, Olaf said this in the post-game news conference, that he felt like the tempo were fine for like the first 3 quarters of the first quarter, but at some point near the end of the first quarter was when the Aces figured us out. That's what Olaf said. And he said at that point we were ineffective, and we were really out of the whole game at that point. So it kind of jives with what you're saying.
Yeah, they figured us out.
Yeah.
I saw it immediately when they started smiling. I go, yeah, they figured us out. But
there was a lot of like talking before the game between Jackie and Chelsea and Asia, and you know, that's what these players do. They're trying to figure out things and communicate, and then, you know, try and get adjustments to work to the best of their benefit. So yeah.
I mean, Chelsea Gray made a pass that I have to say is one of the best passes I've seen all season. Like that pass.
Well, she's known for that, right?
Yeah, that pass was how did she like? It was right on the money. Like behind the back, looking in a different direction.
Yeah,
like, that was incredible. And to get it on the baseline like that.
Yeah,
wow, that was amazing. Can I transition a bit to the?
Yeah, but just one more point, and then and we'll be and then I want to get to the next thing on the show. But yeah, go ahead.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
This is something that I'm very concerned about.
Okay.
You touched on it earlier with Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama took a pay cut, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very concerned about owners guilting players into taking pay. I'm not a proponent for pay cuts for players. And I see a trend happening where owners may be going to players, star players, and saying, "Listen, if you want to be competitive, you want to be on this team, we want to be able to feel the competitive team around you. You're going to have to take a sacrifice." And I don't understand how billionaires are telling millionaires to take a sacrifice. Like that,
all right,
jive in my books.
I mean, I get what you're saying, and I mean, there's people that are kind of pissed with Victor for doing this.
I'm one of them.
And well, I mean, not just fans. I'm talking about like Players Association people and even pundits. Like I think Kendrick Perkins had a whole tirade about it, that he wasn't happy about it. I'm okay with it, and the only reason why, I'll tell you why, is because of the hard cap. Is because, look, you can say the thing about the billionaires saying for the millionaires, but this is the thing. All right, some guys will be like Victor and Jalen Brunson. A lot of guys will not. They'll be like, no, pay me the exact max that I can make. And, that'll probably be more common than Victor or Jalen Brunson. And the whole thing about the selflessness of the Spurs before and what perpetuated their franchise in the playoffs with Popovich for so many years was that selflessness of Tim Duncan and Manu and Tony Parker not taking the extreme maxes that they could have taken that allowed for that whole thing to stay. I think that it's up to each individual. I think that freedom is good. I think that it's just as bad to say you have to take the max as to say you have to not take the max. And that the individual should have the freedom to choose for themselves. If Victor wants to do this, because in some ways, look, money isn't everything to Victor. Victor, as I was saying earlier, is going to Tibet to pray with monks and meditate. In some ways, he's living on that plane that I was describing earlier, more like me than most of society, where money is not the most important thing to him. And in some ways, I respect that. So him taking a pay cut to allow for the team to stay good around him, in some ways, I think is brilliant and smart.
Here's a problem. I agree with what you're saying, Lex, but here's the bigger picture that he's got to look at. He's got to remember he's a part of a players association.
Sure.
Right? This is his first deal. This is his first big contract. Right?
Yeah.
On your first big contract, I don't believe they should be telling you to take a pay cut on your first one. Now, I understand if he was a vet in the league, like a LeBron, further down the line, you can take a pay cut. But you got to understand, once you set a trend, it's going to hurt the negotiation tactics for other players coming up behind you. Because now the Players Association is playing from behind the ball.
But who's to say that Victor, who's to say that Victor, it wasn't his idea? Who's to say that the Spurs were actually pressuring him to do this? Who's to say that it was actually them that said this? Maybe Victor's like, hey, guys, if I take less money, does that mean we can keep Dylan and everybody together? That's what I think is, because I don't get it as like the Spurs forced them to do this. I don't take it as this.
No, he wouldn't be forced to do it. I think it's kind of like a guilt trip. I think
I don't know if it's a guilt trip either. I think that it's just a lot of this is stemming from the hard cap. Is why this is this, because the hard cap just is the rule. And Victor's like, I want to play on a good team. I want to be playing for chips, and I don't care about money. I don't need to make the absolute most money that I want to make. I'll come on a discount so we can fit more in, so we can compete. I think that that's up to the individual, because some of the players may be like, I'm all out just for myself, and I just want to make an absolute amount of money that I can make, but they don't care as much about winning. In some ways, that's the kind of balance that I look at it. I don't think it's about billionaires telling millionaires to take a pay cut. I think it's about players deciding that the hard cap is something that is hard to work with. And if I want to have better talent around me, maybe I will take a little bit of less money.
Yeah, but I understand it's an individual choice.
Yeah.
But like I was mentioning, you got to look at
he sets the market because he's such a big player, and he sets the market. No, I get that. And that's part of the critique of Kendrick Perkins and like some of the people that are saying this. No, I get that. Right. And this is a hot button topic.
Use that as a negotiation tactics when the next collective bargaining agreement comes up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more, you can look at it as an individual thing, but I more look at it as a collective thing.
Sure.
With other players.
And that level should be looked at too, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand your point as well, but that's all I got to say, Lex. And
I mean, I have to be like totally upfront about this. I am a huge Spurs fan, and to me, it's nice. I mean, I'm sure Knicks fans weren't upset with Jalen Brunson with his decision and what he did too. So
unless they're gonna get Victor to plant trees.
Okay, well now I don't even want to start that conversation today. So we'll forget you said that. We are not Groot, and we are not talking about Groot today.
All right, Lex.
All right, man. Thank you, Infamous. Yeah, very interesting topic. In some ways, we're not totally agreeing on it, but you know what? I think that it's a good debate, and you know what? There was some really good points you brought up that I need to think about. It's about the collective and not necessarily the individual. That's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Infamous. Have a fantastic Wednesday, and let's go Tempo.
Go Tempo.
All right, man. Awesome. Cool. Interesting topics today. I did way better on the trivia today than the other day, but it was wrestling. Of course, I'm going to do better. Of course, I'm going to do better right now. Yeah. All right. I should have brought this up earlier because this is a pretty big news story. But the Clippers put a two-way on Jamarian Sharp yesterday. And some Raptors fans are upset, and some Raptors fans are realistic about it and saying, well, he wasn't really good enough in the first place. But it is making a lot of funny kind of comments and things about the whole thing because, once again, the Clippers have done something goofy, and they've kind of snaked a player from us. There's a funny meme of a guy who looks like Cedric the Entertainer who's sitting behind a tree with a yellow suit where he's like kind of conniving behind the tree. And somebody on Reddit took that picture and superimposed the Clippers ship over the face of the guy. And I think that's so hilarious because in some ways, that's kind of what it is. It's like the Clippers are watching the Raptors and trying to steal their shit. And well, Sharp is now officially a Clipper as of yesterday, signed to a two-way contract, and he's on the Clippers team now. And Bobby, I guess, let that happen. He didn't care. I was saying, get Jamarian, get him on our team. But he didn't care. So Jamarian Sharp is now an LA Clipper as of yesterday on a two-way deal. Ugh. In some ways, I'm annoyed with it, but also in some ways, I got to trust Bobby and say, yeah, that guy, I guess he's a dead end. And Bobby thought that, and that's why he doesn't want to bring him back. We got Biddle. Biddle hopefully will be making the regular team. If Biddle is not on our regular team for the season, I would be shocked, and I kind of might be upset. And the other thing is we did really see something really cool from Aziz Bandadogo in the last game of the Summer League. He really did show some stuff that was special. And he is definitely a project coming up through the pipeline with the 905 this year. So we're going to have to see about that. Yeah, we're going to have to see about that. That's right. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying right here. Let's see what else is going on here. Let's see. Trevor J saying, I think Scotty... Oh, wait, Medved. I already read that one. I think Trevor's saying, I think Scotty will be a Raptor for life, too. I hope so. Well, that's a good goal to have for our franchise, for sure. Yeah, salute the Hart family. That's right. Calgary, stand up. Seymour Pape is in the house standing up in Calgary, and he's saying, salute the Hart family. Hey, Seymour, have you ever gone to the Hart house or ever been around that part of Calgary? Do you know where it is? Like, would you want to go there? If you went there, Seymour, and you knock down the door and say, hey, I'm a city slicker. I'm from the ends, and I'm here in Calgary. I'm out here in the cowboy land, and I want to see the dungeon. Will you let me come down and look at the dungeon? And they'll be like, you come down here, we're going to twist you up. We're going to make you scream like old Stu used to do to people when you come down there. That's enter at your own risk. Seymour, would you dare to enter the Hart dungeon at the Hart House in Calgary? Would you do that, man? I want to know. That's right. Pete P's here. Good morning, Pete P. Thank you for the subscription. What is the phone number? Well, the phone number is only given to strong supporters of the channel that have been a part of the channel for a few years. You got to, first of all, maybe subscribe to the channel, then maybe become a member, join our Discord. There's a couple levels of getting into being in the Raptor Freak channel so that you get the trust of having the phone number. So yeah, Pete, I would love to hear from you, but I'm not going to put my phone number out there completely public. But to trusted longtime members of the channel that get the opportunity and the privilege to call me, they do get that. So yeah, I like that you aspire to want to call in, and maybe you can if you're here often enough, and I feel like you're a good contributor. then I would give you my phone number then. But it is my phone number, and in some ways I'm not giving it out to everybody. Seymour saying the famous Hart House. Okay, so he does know where it is. The famous Hart House on the hill next to Canadian Olympic Park is Bowness and Bowness and Bowness. You know, hopefully they're still keeping it up. You know, I wonder who lives there. I don't think Brett lives there, but I'll bet you some sibling of the Harts is still upkeeping that house and looking after it in some sort of way. Yeah, I wonder if they actually still do have wrestling training going on in that building. You know, if it's kind of abandoned and not really used and stuff like that, I'll bet it's haunted. I'll bet you go in there in the middle of the night, in the dark of the middle of the night, you'll hear the screams of the tortured wrestlers getting stretched by Stu Hart from decades and decades ago. You know, it was pretty crazy because, like, the story is that, like, the basement is where the dungeon is and the living room's above it. And people would be getting stretched in submission holds and really getting hurt. And Stu loved it. He's like, how's that feel for you? Does it feel good? You like that, huh? Yeah, take this. And he's stretching the guys. Like, and people would be sitting up in the living room, and like Helen Hart would be knitting and entertaining guests, and there'd be screams coming up through the ventilation from the basement, and it'd be like, whoa, what is that? It's like, oh, it's just Stu in his dungeon. You gotta love that shit, man. You gotta love that. Fiercey's here. Good morning, Fiercey. Good morning, fam. And happy Wednesday. Congrats to Marina Mabrey, first tempo player to be an all-star and participate in three-point shooting contests. That's right. We want to see her succeed in all kinds of ways. It's not likely she'll be MVP of the all-star game, but if she is, that'd be amazing. You know, she wins the three-point shootout. Well, first ever tempo three-point shootout winner in the history of our franchise. That's the thing, Marina. You can be the first of a lot of stuff for our team. Just like Isabel Harrison's the first tempo to ever get a double-double. You're the first player to ever get 50 points as a tempo. There's all kinds of firsts that you can get in the record books for the WNBA's Toronto Tempo. And, well, go on and get the first ever three-point shootout championship for the franchise and join Jason Capono as the first ever Raptors three-point shootout champion. That's right. And the only one, actually. Jason's the only one who's ever won it for us. Trevor's saying this. Fans are already complaining about 7'5" going to the Clippers. Yeah. I knew this reaction would happen with Raptors fans, and they're upset because they really liked him. I mean, I got a text from Monique yesterday where she was like, Sharp went to the Clippers. What the hell? She was not happy about it either because she really wanted Jamarian to stick around. And I'm just like, well, you know, he's such a weird player. He's in some ways, you guys can look at his height and get mesmerized by it and be like, oh my gosh, we just have to have him. In some ways, everybody wants Wemby. So what do you want? Wemby from Timu? Is this what we're doing here? No. In some ways, there's huge holes in Jamarian Sharp's game, which make him absolutely unplayable in a lot of ways in the NBA. And that's the thing that Raptors fans need to realize. And, you know, we're not a dumb organization. We're not going to let something slip through our fingers that is really important that we need to hang on to. And I'm telling you, even though Jamarian showed promise in different ways in the summer league, and he did look good with the blocks, there's such huge gaping holes in his game that make him unplayable to a degree also. And that's something Bobby understands. And they looked through it and they figured it out. I'm sure they talked at length with Darko Rajakovic about the fit with Jamarian Sharp and whether he would be worth investing resources in to be a part of our team. Let the Clippers do it. In some ways, the Clippers are not a team like us that do their homework. They're not due diligence with their stuff. They kind of go on whims and just kind of, oh, this, you know, he's 7'5". Let's just get him. I don't care how good he is. And that's the attitude. And that's why the Clippers don't succeed, because they don't do their homework correctly. And they make mistakes left and right. I mean, they obviously didn't do their homework on our guy SGA to make that kind of mistake the way they did with him, right? So, yeah, fans of the Raptors, just let him go. And, yeah, you could go ahead and Brandon Carlson this guy for the next few years if he does do some successful stuff and be all, we let him go. We had him. Well, we didn't actually ever technically have Sharp. Sharp was trying out for the whole NBA, and we had not put a marker of holding him like we did with other people at Summer League. You know, Biddle's on an Exhibit 10, and he wasn't able to just be snatched up like this. If we really wanted Sharp, We could have put him on an Exhibit 10. It could possibly been Bobby asked to say, hey, we'll put you on Exhibit 10. You can come back to training camp. And Sharp said, no, we're holding out. We want a full two-way. We won't take anything less than a two-way. And they played some hardball with Bobby Webster. And Bobby Webster said, I'm not willing to commit the two-way to you at this point. I might give it to you in training camp. No, if you're not going to give us the two-way, we won't accept the Exhibit 10. We want to stay free and loose and be able to be picked up by anybody still. If you're not going to give us a full two-way, Exhibit 10 is not enough. All right, well, fine. You just have to do what you're going to do. Hi, Jamarian, this is Steve Ballmer. Would you like a two-way with the Clippers? It's that kind of shit. It's that kind of shit that's going on right there. Yeah. Fiercely saying, let them sleep on Graves. They will find out soon enough how much of a gem he is. It's not really sleeping. It's just if you did the statistical analysis of the stats with everybody, they probably picked the right people because they probably averaged like over 30 points a game in the summer league, some of these top draft picks. And Alan Graves had good games. Don't get me wrong. He had all-round good games where he was collecting stats in all categories. But he wasn't, and we know this is how people look at the NBA, he wasn't a huge scorer who did huge scoring. And plus, they're not going to put a huge spotlight on us and pay attention to us. In fact, most of our games were on ESPN too, and not ESPN at Summer League. And we have to get a lot of shine on us and attention by going above and beyond. And then people will say, oh, we have to pay attention to the Raptors. We can't just ignore them because this dude is doing so well. We can't ignore them. And unfortunately, Allen didn't do exactly that well. I mean, he did really well. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't do it in a flashy way. He didn't do it in a huge substantive way where they had no chance to ignore him. So, yeah, you're right. Let them sleep on him. He's going to be great this year. And he's going to be one of the rookies that people talk about all year long. Watch. Yeah, Medved Ted's saying this. It's easy for Wemby when Texas has no income tax. Try doing that in Canada. Everybody says that kind of stuff, but there's payoff. There's different things that, listen, Americans pay taxes, but they don't get to see any of the fruits of their taxes. Now their taxes don't even go to education or healthcare. They just go to bombing innocent people in the Middle East. That's what it goes to at this point. All their money that they pay in taxes, even if they pay a little bit less, they don't see any of the just rewards of it. Like they don't put it into infrastructure. They don't put it invested in society. They steal it at the top. They steal the taxpayers' monies, give it to Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and they use the rest of it for an overinflated budget where Pete Hegseth has ran through the Pentagon's budget, and now he's asking for more trillions of dollars. Meanwhile, nobody has healthcare and anything like that. Would you rather live in Canada or would you rather live in Texas? Would you rather pay a bit more taxes and have free healthcare and have good social services? Or would you rather live in Texas where your abortion may be legal and you have to drive out of the country, out of the state just to get an abortion and shit like that? No, there's trade-offs here. And, I get Medved Ted's point. He's right. In some ways, it's easier for Victor to do this and that, but that's not why he's doing this. It doesn't matter what team he would be on. He would do it either way because it's his character and it's the way he is. Victor is not, the buck does not stop here with him. He's not a person who's money hungry or even looks at the world in a money way. This is a man who will sit down in Central Park and play chess with ordinary citizens. This is a man that will spend part of his summer going to Tibet and sitting silently in a room with a bunch of monks. Do you think this man cares about money? He does not. He's above it. In fact, he is somebody who's ahead of his time because that's the thing that everybody's going to realize, that this whole monopoly money system that we have is going to crumble, and there's going to be a post-money world where we're all going to live in. Hopefully we'll live because the whole environment might collapse and everybody might die before then too. Victor's just ahead of his time. Because this isn't the buck stops here with him. He doesn't care about this. He's the opposite of the $1 million man. There's no price for him. In some ways, he understands life is more than just money, and money does not make his world revolve. And I think that's the big thing that people are missing on this whole thing. This isn't exactly like Jalen Brunson giving a hometown discount to the Knicks to be able to build this championship. This is a basic philosophical part of Victor's mind and how he is. It's a different thing, totally. It's one thing to take less money to try and build a good team around. There's another whole thing to be somebody who denounces the whole idea of the system of money and saying, you know what, this thing is stupid anyway, but I'll play along with your little game anyway. That's what he is. It's that right there. It's right there. That's right. Seymour saying this. No, they are very respectable people. They don't hate, they embrace. The Hart family. Yeah. The Hart family is awesome. You know, they're a good family for the most part. They really are. They've had their problems with different issues, certain family members, with some of them with the substance abuse. But for the most part, that family has been huge for the community of Calgary, and the city of Calgary loves the Harts. Yeah, they're probably the most famous family from Calgary, right? They really are. They really are. Smooth saying this, per Rich Paul, LeBron made his decision, then he changed his mind, back to the drawing board. Interesting. Well, does this have anything to do with the leaked press conference that LeBron was going to announce he was going to sign with Miami Heat? Did the Miami Heat franchise actually put out some information saying that there was going to be a LeBron press conference with the Heat, and then they had to take it back, and then they had to say, oh, it was bogus, it wasn't real. Maybe that actually was real, and LeBron changed his mind. And this is what Reggie's saying. This is very interesting. Very, very interesting. So maybe he shirked Giannis and Pat Riley at the last second and said, you know what? I don't want to do this. Yeah, what would the perception be of you going to join Giannis in Miami? It's exactly the reason why Kawhi didn't want to join you in LA on the Lakers. Yeah, it's exactly that, LeBron. You want to go there and just kind of ring chase with Giannis? That's too easy. Everybody's going to look down on you, and they're going to think that you're just always been the guy who took the easy route. So, you know, in some ways, the first time you went to Miami was like that already. You had to join up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh to get those championships that you got there. So, yeah, maybe there was something like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea to go back to the Heat and play with Giannis. But also, in some ways, you may be getting some of that kind of stuff that Durant gets as far as, yeah, you had to have other people around to get your chips, and you could never actually really, you know, yeah, there's all kinds of ways you could talk about it if he did do that, right? That's, you know, there's all kinds of ways that could be looked at. Infamous saying, that's a hilarious view of the Hart House, Lex. It's the truth. That's exactly what it was like. Seriously. You know, there was all kinds of young wrestlers coming over and training with them, and it was a constant. It was a constant thing. That wasn't like a snapshot of just like a specific day. That was every day at the Hart House. The family living upstairs, living their life. The little kids like Owen growing up in that house, listening to grown men scream downstairs while he's like running around the house. You know, in some ways, that's part of what informs us to be why Owen Hart was such a trickster and such a happy-go-lucky guy. I mean, he did grow up as one of the youngest siblings in a family of 11 kids, and he was the baby boy that was doted on. In some ways, he had a lot of the natural wrestling talent like his older brother, Brett. And, well, it was a weird cartoon life he grew up in. So, of course, he was a prankster and a charlatan and a fun guy who would do all kinds of crazy stuff. Man, the stories about Owen Hart and his pranks are golden. If you can hear more Owen Hart prank stories from his wrestling days, oh my gosh, some of the stuff he used to do. He would prank call hotel front offices and like impersonate other wrestlers and get them to like send a huge amount of towels to their room or something like that. He'd do crazy shit like that. Most of his pranks were innocuous and didn't hurt anybody, but there were a few times where it got a little out of hand and bad things did happen. Yeah, stuff like that. Man, Owen Hart, rest in peace, man, forever. A tragic, really public death that was just incredibly bad at Over the Edge pay-per-view in Kemper Arena in Missouri. Really, really awful thing. And I think that in some ways the WWE was not found liable enough for what happened. Seriously. Trevor J saying this, NBA teams owners will always pay the money. It's the NBA don't want the people with the money to buy the players. You know, the whole thing about the cap system and the way the NBA is important for the players. You know, this was very well illustrated in a recent Pablo Torre podcast about the whole balance of the NBA with labor and the owners and the union and the cap and why it has to be the way it is. Because in some ways, the cap system ensures that the players get the proper percentage of the profits from the NBA. And that without that system, there's this, and with cap circumvention, like the aspiration scandal, that can really hurt the whole thing and it's not good for the players. In some ways, the owners are going to be all right anyway because they have all the money in the world. And if you break that contract of the CBA and the hard cap, well, then the owners are in power and they start paying the players dirt. So the CBA, the hard cap, and the salary cap rules are actually in place to protect the players and getting their fair share. So people that argue and get upset about the cap or things about how NBA teams have to be run, it has to be done this way so that it is safe for them. You know, one of the big stories in the news right now is the merger of huge telecom giants. I think it's Warner Brothers and somebody else. And they're trying to stop it because it would make a monopoly in entertainment that is not good. And antitrust laws and things like that are very important. The thing is, the NBA is a one league show. And because of that, they are mandated to have a players union because of the US government rules about antitrust. So it's all in itself has to be the way it is for it to work. Because if the cap goes out the window and they start dealing with it like Major League Baseball, then the NBA, the players start getting shafted way, way more. Trust me, because the owners will figure out ways to shrink the percentage of the pie that goes to the players. So it's all very, very important, the system the way it is, and ensuring the integrity of it and making sure that the rules are followed by people like Steve Ballmer is essential. It's essential for it to be healthy and fine. Yeah. Yeah. Smooth saying, you still think that LeBron's going to be a Cav? I think that's probably true too. We'll have to see. Kaz is here. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Kaz. Good to see you. Real quick, I'm going to do my HD check-in for today. Human design is a system that was created by a Canadian man in the 90s, and it marries the astrology of the planets and the placement of the sky with our own biology and our centers in our body, like our throat center and our sacral and our self. And well, every day there's a different placement of the stars and the planets in the sky, and it causes different kinds of channels of energy to be open. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about HD. Today, we are still in gate 56, which is the gate of stimulation, aka the wanderer, aka the storyteller. And this is a whole idea of going through your life and meeting different people along your path and learning their story and telling your story and wandering through life and gaining more information and knowledge as you go through life. That's what it's about here. Now, today's word of the day is expediency, which is meaning, getting something done expedited or fast. Now, the detriment is expedient behavior whose price is a constant stressful alertness and nervous anxiety and fear of losing what has been gained, the role as reality, the fear of silence and being uncovered and of being uncovered. Yeah, in some ways you want to protect what you already have, but a very Zen Buddhist way, like the monks up on the hill with Wemby, is to be, what do you even have in the first place? The illusion of having possessions is something that is very deep in the whole idea of Buddhism, that you don't own anything. You don't have anything. None of these items that are in your room or your house are actually items that you own, because it's just a made up thing that we made up in our human consciousness. So yeah, expediency and the exaltation is the perfection of the superficial personality that can mask, when essential, its true feelings to secure protection, the gift for stimulation as a role and for protection. So in some ways, sometimes it's good to not say everything you want to say, and to have a censor and a filter, to not give information to somebody that may cause a situation with that person. It's kind of like smile and just say, yeah, thank you, when you really want to say something else. So yeah, that's my little dabble with the human design today. Gate 56, line 4 is our gate today. And well, we'll have 2 more days of the Wanderer gate, and then we'll switch to our next gate after that. So I don't know if you guys want to know more about human design. You can go online and find any of the many, many, many human design websites. All you have to do is put in your place of birth, your time of birth, and date of birth, and it will give you your chart. And you can actually see how you were designed in the moment that you were conceived and you were born. And it will literally show you your blessings and gifts, and also your weaknesses and detriments and your personality. It can actually show you, like on my chart, I have the gate of charisma, which allows me to expound and espouse on things in a very quick reaction way, like processing fast and be able to talk and do the show. Not everybody can do the show like I can, where you're reading and reacting and talking the whole time with no gaps. Most people have to read this, process it, and then think of what they want to say. And they can't do this like in a millisecond like I can. And that is literally my gate of charisma that allows me to do this, because I have a channel that runs from my energy, from my sacral to my voice, that can power it and can make me spontaneously and very much in improvised ways react and talk and keep talking and not have to stop. So, you might find your chart and you may look at it and you'd be like, holy crap, this is actually something I have that I didn't even realize. And it may change your life, because all of a sudden you know about a gift that you didn't know you had that was latently inside you, and you unlocked it because you're aware of it. That's what I'm saying, y'all. So even if you think this is hocus pocus, mumbo jumbo garbage, at least check it out and maybe just look at it for a second. And, if you have more questions about it and you have access to message me, I'm more than happy to explain or give answers to questions about it if you do have an interest. Just going to say that right there. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Infamous is saying, I believe the NBA owners want a system close to the NFL, which is not good. Well, that's part of the whole balance. That's why Fred's job's so important. That's why, in some ways, arbitrators and different people that work within the NBA office to kind of work with the owners and the players to get the balance. Adam Silver was very clear in his State of the League address at Summer League that, the process of going through this collective bargaining agreements is very much a place where neither side gets everything that they want, and they have to be compromised. And there has to be both sides kind of coming out of it saying, well, we didn't get exactly what we want, but this is fine. This will work for us, and this will work for the owners too. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that in that. You can think about the whole saga of the WNBA CBA arrangement this past year and how long that took and how close it got to the season, because they didn't want to budge on this, they didn't want to budge on that. The WNBA players stood fast, and they did a really good job getting a bigger piece of the profit pie for the WNBA to pay the players. And that's good. And they also made a system that will change over time as the profits expand. The pay for the players will expand also. So that's what you got to do. You got to figure out the agreements, and not everybody's going to be all totally happy with it. The NFL is a completely different kind of league. And in some ways, players in that league are discarded really easily and quickly. And they, a guy gets hurt and they're out and their career's over. The NBA is a little bit more hold on to these people and protect these people, because in some ways it's a smaller roster. So there's smaller players, but a smaller amount of players. In the NFL, you have huge rosters and you have so many guys going in and out the doors. So they have to do a totally different system, because their sport and everything around it is totally different than the NBA. And that's it right there. Reggie's saying this, Leonard is innocent of wrongdoing, in my opinion. If there was anything there, it would have been announced. We'll just have to see. Hopefully this will get resolved as soon as possible. And we'll just have to wait. In some ways, I'm not impatient about this. I feel good about Kawhi Leonard being in a Raptors jersey this season, and that we're going to see that. That's what I feel good about. And I tend to lean with Reggie on this, that I feel like Leonard's not going to be in any trouble live for himself. He may have to pay some money back. That's about it. If they find that he actually technically took some money from Aspiration, maybe he has to pay some money back and a little bit more on top of that. And that's it. I don't think he gets suspended, and I don't think they mess with his contract either. I really don't. UC's saying this. Good morning, UC. Good to see you. MLB fans think that having a cap is horrible for the product, even though it's basically always the same teams in the playoffs with no real change from that. Their cheap owners never making the playoffs. This is true. This is basically buying. It's like pay to play video games. You really want to be good at this game? Well, you got to pay the extras to get the extra cards and the extra add-ons so that you can be the top of your team against the other people you're playing. You can pay to win in a lot of video games these days, because you just paid for the extra stuff, and you're better because of that. And that's the thing I don't like about MLB. He's exactly right. The Dodgers are paying to be at the top of the league. They are definitely paying. And if the Blue Jays want to compete, they have to pay. Ed Rogers has to pay to keep the Blue Jays up near the top of the league. Now, this year, the Blue Jays are having a lot of injury problems, and they're not near the top of the league. And in some ways, that's part of the gamble. It's like you can pay to have people and try and do well. But if you're hurt and you don't have good luck during the season, you have a big payroll and you just have a losing season. And that's the gamble with all that. But I agree with UC so much here. And in some ways, that's part of the reason why I don't put any attention or resources into watching MLB. Because as much as I like baseball, I do like baseball. And I'm a very classic Blue Jays fan. Ernie Witt, Tony Fernandez, Dave Stieb. Come on now, George Bell. But I've been turned off in the past few decades because of their cap system. Yeah, which is no cap, which is no cap. Yeah, UC saying also, I don't get why fans, their players, and their union are so against the cap. We've only seen a playoff drought and only last several years with the whole NBA at this point. MLB teams' droughts last way longer. Well, it really is stratified. You've got the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Red Sox up there near the top. And then there's, are the Athletics ever going to be anywhere? No, because they don't even have a place that wants them. And there's no investment in there. So why would you be an Athletics fan? That team could just spoil and waste away. And, nobody would care. Diamondbacks, what is it really? What are the Diamondbacks going to do? There's a whole lot of teams out there, the Pirates, a lot of teams that just are not going to be competing for anything anytime soon. And there's no chance. And that's why the NBA system is working. This is why Adam Silver very much touted last week that the system that he has in place right now, he believes is working very, very well. And he has no problem with it. He has no problem with it. Some people may be complaining about the second apron, but he's saying that it's working and that the parity in the league is top notch right now. And in some ways, you go into a season, it's not just pencil in the Knicks for a repeat. No. The pattern is not showing that in the last 10 years. And also, you could really say there's like at least almost 10 teams that have a viable chance of possibly winning the NBA championship coming up this year. And the Raptors are one of them. So, I like that better. It's much more interesting to not know the end of the story when you start the first chapter. And that was part of the problem with the NBA in the mid 2010s. It was Cleveland versus Golden State for like 4 finals in a row. And that was boring as fuck. You want to watch the same rerun every year? Adam Silver had to do something, and he did. And he's been very successful to make that not happen again. And I have no problem with it. I'm very much for equality. I'm very much for different fan bases getting to enjoy championships like Denver and Milwaukee and Oklahoma City. So it's like the system in the NBA is working. Some of the players are getting shafted, like Gary Trent Jr. in the middle, but the players at the very top are getting more money than ever. And there's more opportunities for some players to get into the league at the bottom because there's way more spots in some ways worked out for it. There's give and take in every labor negotiation. And give and take means all kinds of different things, whether it's more games on the schedule, less games on the schedule. WNBA is going to be having more games next year as part of the arrangement with the new CBA. There's more amenities, more kind of spots on a team. Like they added the extra 2-way spot a couple years ago in the NBA. These are all parts of the whole thing in the agreement. These are all parts of it right there. All parts of it right there. That's right. Happy birthday to original Raptor, Alvin Robertson. That's right. It is Alvin Robertson's birthday today. Alvin, I think he's turning, he's turning 64 today, 64 years old. Alvin Robertson played 1 year for the Raptors, and that was the very first year of our team. He played 77 games, started 69 of them, and he averaged, did he only average 9 points a game for us? That's crazy. I thought he averaged way more than that, but I guess he only averaged 9 points a game for us. Alvin Robertson. Sorry, I should be saying Alvin Robertson. He was one of the few NBA players that got a quadruple double in the history of the NBA. Yeah, Akeem Olajuwon's one of them, and Alvin Robertson got his in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. He got his in his steals. So there's not many players that got quadruple double with the steals as the fourth category. Usually it's done with blocks. Yeah. But you said Alvin Robertson has had problems with incarceration and other things like domestic violence since his playing career. He was a four-time All-Star. He was a Defensive Player of the Year, and he was also 6 times on the All-Defensive team. So he's a very, very good player in the 80s. And by the time he got to Toronto, well, it was the end of his career. It was his last year in the league, actually, 95, 96. So happy 64th birthday to Alvin Robertson, formerly of the Milwaukee Bucks, the Spurs, and the Toronto Raptors. Yeah, so yeah, that's our birthday of the day right there. Let's see what else is going on here. Pete P saying, what is the call-in number? Well, it's only for members of the channel and longtime Raptor freaks. We've been doing this show for 5 years, and there's people that have been sticking with me for the long haul. And there's been different times I've divulged the phone number and taken calls, but I don't just give it out to everybody. Like, I don't know you, PP. This is the first time you showed up on my channel. And that's the thing. You've got to be a regular. If you come here every day for like 6 months, maybe I'll give you the phone number then. Maybe I'll give you the phone number then, is what I would say. UC saying, didn't know he played for us. Wow. Getting 10 steals is so much more rare than 10 blocks. So that's insane. Yeah, Robertson was a phenomenal player. He's one of the few players that Michael Jordan would admit he actually gave him trouble. That, yeah, Alvin Robertson defensively would give Michael Jordan pretty good trouble for not being able to score. So there's an immense respect from Air Jordan for Alvin Robertson. Yeah, there was actually in that game where we beat the Bulls in the first year of the Raptors. Robertson was shadowing and guarding Jordan for part of the game, but part of the key that we did really well, other than the fact that the Bulls were partying the night before and they were all hungover, they made a switch later in the game to Doug Christie guarding Michael Jordan, and that was huge too. That was huge right there. But yeah, Alvin Robertson is known as one of the few people that could actually slow down Michael. Yeah, is he in jail right now? Is he in jail right this second? He might be. I don't know for sure. They could be. I don't know. A lot of his charges were from the early 2000s. And it may be that he is out at this point. But who knows? I mean, I can't tell you for sure. Maybe I'll go look at his Wikipedia real quick, and we'll see what it says real fast. Where is his Wikipedia? Let me just go look it up real quick. Yeah, I'll read about Alvin Robertson's criminal past. That's right. Let's see. We'll put it out there real quick. Because, look, domestic violence is not a good thing in any kind of way. Let's see. Okay, he has a son who played in the NFL, who played on the Minnesota Vikings. He's also the father of Elgin Cook, who played basketball. Okay. Okay, Robertson has a history of off-court problems during and after his career. He spent a month in jail during the 1990 offseason on domestic violence charge against his wife at that time. In 97, he pleaded no contest to 4 charges of abusing a former girlfriend and was sentenced to 1 year in prison. During that trial, he was accused of having kicked in an apartment door while his girlfriend and her 8-year-old daughter were inside. That's crazy. All right, let's see. We got Seymour. Good morning, Seymour. You're on the air.
Yeah, yo, just chiming in real quick. Remember how you said, I think someone said that Wemby took a pay cut?
Yeah.
What if he took a pay cut for LeBron to join San Antonio?
That is a very interesting theory.
There's video of Rich Paul in San Antonio meeting with certain people in San Antonio. That happened a couple of days ago. So I'm wondering if Wemby took the pay cut to bring room in for LeBron. Because another thing too, you know how you said why would LeBron go to Miami? Because that's like a cop out for joining Giannis.
Yeah.
Do you see it the same way if he was to join Wemby? Because
I mean,
Wemby,
think about it.
Yeah.
The Spurs were just in the finals. It's kind of like that is ring chasing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, for sure. I could see him going to San Antonio.
That would be so weird.
I don't know what the fans would say about that, because to me, if he does that, I'm gonna definitely put him in the category of ring chasing if he goes to San
Like
Antonio.
Durant.
And I think any decision he makes, though, I think people are gonna look at it like he's ring chasing. Like, if out of the notable teams that were mentioned, if he goes to Miami, if he goes to Philly, if he goes to San Antonio, people are gonna say, "Oh, he's ring chasing."
Yeah,
You know,
that may be true. I mean, there's sentimental choices he could make. I mean, if he went back to Cleveland, you could say he's ring chasing because the Cleveland is kind of a good team with a lot of good personnel, but it's also a sentimental decision too, right?
Yeah.
And what about if he went to the Warriors with Curry and Draymond? What would that one be? Is that really ring chasing, or is that more sentimental, kind of like, I just want to play with these guys?
Well, I think it's he's going to get knocked a different way. What they're going to say is, why would you go join up with guys that were rivals to you? They're going to say Magic never did it. Larry never did it. Mike never did it. Right?
And they could say that about the Spurs organization too, if he does go to San Antonio, because there were a lot of Cleveland versus San Antonio kind of things going on early in his career.
Yeah, and even Dallas, even if he goes to Dallas, they'll say the same thing. He joined a team that beat him up in
I think whatever he decides, we'll just have to see how it looks, and then we'll decide on these factors of what you're talking about. You know?
Yes.
That's interesting, though. I didn't think about the Wemby pay cut being possibly to make room for King James. That is very interesting, Seymour. I can see it.
It would definitely put them over the hump. You know, especially with them bringing in Tobias. They brought in some veteran guys, too. But a lot of the people who I think are signing with San Antonio, like Tobias, to me, going to San Antonio, that's ring chasing to me. Because, you were on the number one team on the East in Detroit, but then how do you go and join the super team of San Antonio? You know,
I don't get mad at role player guys or kind of second fiddle guys that don't really get a lot of shine for doing this kind of stuff, because in some ways their power is not as big as people like LeBron, even though LeBron's later in his career and is past his prime. But you know, I think that the more interesting thing about Harris to San Antonio is, why the hell did Detroit just destroy itself after its best season in like forever? That's the thing that I don't get, is like, if they really care about building around Kate Cunningham and building, why did they destroy the best team in the East last year, regular season wise? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Detroit is a crumbling city, and it's been a crumbling city for a very, very long time. You know, Detroit was named as one of the worst NBA cities to visit. Detroit, Memphis was in there. There's a couple other cities. The lifestyle in Detroit, the culture is there with music, fashion, and all that stuff, but the lifestyle is not where you want to raise a family. You don't want to raise a family in Detroit. Detroit's not home like that. So, I think the move to San Antonio is good for Tobias's career. You know,
I like Tobias Harris a lot, and I'm very curious to see his fit on that team. The one thing I would say about bringing too many of these older guys onto the Spurs is you don't want to cut in the pie, because already I feel like De'Aaron Fox doesn't belong on that team, and in some ways, you know, Dylan Harper needs to get more time. Steph Castle, you know, the young guys on that team should be like not getting these old vets trying to ring chase, just jumping in and taking away from their time in production. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Another thing too, so you know how when we were discussing prospects to bring into the team, a lot of the things I noticed that you were saying is you don't want the younger 18, 19-year-old, you would rather a mature player coming in, right?
Yeah.
How do you look at that when you look at the Spurs lineup, though? Because, you know, you just said give the younger guys the shine. Is it because they've proven, like you've seen through the eye test of what they can do, and you're saying, no, forget the maturity level of this. Give these guys to play because they can play.
When I was saying that about the draft, not necessarily about the nucleus and what you're doing. I have to get used to this whole idea that the NBA is not caring about vets anymore. That to be successful and get the highest levels of the playoffs, you don't need a veteran team anymore, because Oklahoma City busted that theory out like a year ago. And now the Spurs have gone from no playoffs to the finals. And it's like the normal stair steps that teams have to make with youth getting more seasoned to understand. It's not there anymore. There's an express lane that you can go bypass all that and actually get to almost the championship or the championship. And that's the thing I'm adjusting to right now with that. Now, my statements about drafts for the Raptors is basically I'd rather pick a guy like Shed who has 4 years in college because he's more likely to be not a knucklehead and have an easier time adjusting to league. And I will use the example of Grady Dick as somebody who came out too early. If Grady had stayed longer than just 1 year at Kansas, it would have benefited him so much. And that's kind of where I was talking about that more. I don't worry about Allen Graves, even though he's 19, just about to turn 20, because he has a very mature approach in the things he's doing, but he's an exception and not the rule. And I think that most 19-year-olds are not ready for the NBA, if you're really being honest. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's really it. Hey, real quick, do you have any stories, personal stories about going to the Hart House?
No. I've been over there, though. I've not run up and knocked the door or anything, but like I lived in that area for a little bit, like 2 years, Boness, near the Canadian Olympic Park, the ski hill.
Yeah.
They're right on the hill. They're on the same hill as the ski hill, the Olympic ski hill there. That I think it was like 89 or some shit. The Olympics was here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're like the walking distance from that. And when you're down in Boness, because it's built in like a valley,
yeah.
So the whole community is at the bottom, and the Hart House is up on the hill, and everybody can see the house. You can see the house. So,
have you ever interacted or seen any of the Hart family around the city?
No. I haven't seen any of them.
No.
You
might be around one and you might not even know it, because some of those brothers, they may be like kind of like looking shabby.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah.
It's the type of city, man. A lot of people, they go to work. When they get off work, people go to the river and jump on like little canoes and stuff and go down the river.
Yeah.
And different activities and stuff people do.
That's
so you
cool.
don't really see people like that.
Okay. All right, man. Well, they're like royalty, huh? They're like royalty in Calgary.
Yeah, they're royalty. Last thing I want to throw at you.
Sure.
What's your thoughts on certain teams collecting first-round draft picks? Like, I think Dallas has 3 on their team right now. Who else? There's a couple of teams. Washington has 3. Is that an eye raiser to you, or do you think, that's just these guys are just grabbing anything they can grab to try and boost the?
Are you talking about like from this draft? Like they have like first 3 guys that are from the first round of this draft and they're on their team? Or are you talking about just collecting picks like Sam Presti?
Collecting picks overall, like for example, Dallas has Rhea Shea.
Man, this guy's putting shots up.
And they got Kyrie.
Yeah, okay. Like, yeah, this deal that they just did recently where Reza Shea's arriving in Dallas is interesting to me. He's going to be a reclamation project to try and figure out next to Cooper. So you're saying literally number 1 picks, Cooper, Kyrie, and Reza Shea are all number 1 picks in the draft. And they're putting them all together in Dallas with Masai. I mean, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Zachariah has not been he's been a disappointment, but maybe he gets new life in a new jersey. We'll have to see. Now, as far as like stockpiling picks like Sam Presti has done, well, you see, he's unloaded a few of them this summer in some of the deals he's done, because you can't keep all the picks. The picks will be going in different ways. In some ways, the picks are like just money in your wallet. You can either keep the money in your wallet or you can spend that money and by trading it every which way. And that's really kind of the value of picks to me right now. It's not feasible to pick all those picks that Sam Presti gets. It's just in some ways he's got to use those picks to trade to a certain extent, because you can't keep everybody on your team. There's not that many roster spots. So,
exactly.
Yeah. All right, Seymour.
I gotta go and load somebody up. Y'all have a great day. And
yeah, man. Yeah, man. I hear you shooting while you're on the phone with me, man. I hear you putting up shots. I know that unmistakable noise of a basketball hitting a backboard. This guy's trying to hide he's having his workout. This man is a multitasker. This guy's on the phone, he's on the clock, and he's on the hoop. Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. What an impromptu call from Calgary from our good friend, the city slicker, Seymour Pay. Yeah, good. Some good points there. Some good points. I didn't hear about the thing with LeBron to the Spurs, but that is interesting. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if Wemby would do that, though. I don't think that's why he did it. I don't think that's why he did it because I don't know. And really, I can't see LeBron in a Spurs jersey. It's just a weird image to me. I just can't see it. I just can't see it. It's very strange. Very, very strange. All right, let me see. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying real quick. We'll get finished up soon. Yeah, talking about Alvin Robertson, it does not say whether he is still on in jail or not right now. It does say he was arrested in 2010 for sex trafficking, but it was cleared of all charges after learning the accusations were fabricated. So, but he was also arrested again in 2018 for violating a protective order. So he probably has restraining order, not supposed to go around his ex or something. And he messed that up, something like that. Peter P saying that he wanted to vent on the Caitlin Clark thing, but it's all good. I understand. You know, if you want to elaborate, you can write it in the comments and we can talk about it if you have main points. Because I don't mind talking about this subject. It is the main subject for today. Marina being in 3-point shootout and not having foils like Clark and Ionescu in there with her. You know, because I want to see them go against each other, and that would be a lot of fun. Infamous saying, no matter what team LeBron goes to, there will be criticism for sure. That's exactly right. Although I would say if he went to Cleveland, he'd probably get less. At this stage, he should do what makes him happy. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Now, I got a question about LeBron James Jr. Does he follow him wherever he goes? Like I've heard Bronny publicly say that he's willing to do whatever the Lakers want him to do as going forward, and he's untethered himself from his dad. So it could very well be that LeBron and Bronny are not on the same team this year coming up. And is it kind of like this thing where LeBron shows up on a team and, well, Bronny has to be on the team somewhere? I have a question about that right there. Randolph saying this: blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. Don't play the game of life the way others who do not share your values are dictating for you to play. Good values are sorted out by those who believe in them. You know, there's a lot of conditioning in society and a lot by the powers that be for us to be like, I always take the example of John Carpenter's They Live. You know, when they put the glasses on, you could see what the billboards say: work, reproduce, do this, do that. Because there's a lot of powers out there that want you to basically follow the rules of society. And that's why they shame you for things like, oh, you don't have your own house. Oh, you didn't get married. Oh, you don't have kids. You know, they want you to perpetuate the engine of capitalism and the workforce. And they want you to do these things. And in some ways, it's all conditioning and it's all malarkey, honestly. So it's up to you whether you want to play by the conditioned rules of society and pick and choose which ones you want to go by. Because in some ways, these aren't legal laws. These aren't rules that you have to do. You have the freedom to choose your life. But if you want to feel like you have to do certain things because you're pressured, maybe it's your family is saying you need to go get married and do this and that. That's up to you. But realize that a lot of this is conditioning. And your choices, just like LeBron on whatever he should do to make himself happy, it's the same thing for you. It's the same thing for you. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. You know, whatever makes you happy, as long as it doesn't hurt other people and it's not breaking very bad laws, right? G saying this right now: Clark is still on minutes restriction for her back. I think people forget that she hasn't played full minutes in a bit. People should do what they are comfortable doing. This applies to everyone. Happy for Mabrey. This is a big opportunity for her to show out. I know. And in some ways, look, it's not for me to decide whether Clark does this. This is my own selfish thing that I want Caitlin versus Marina just for the fun of it. It's really that. It's really that. But I can understand a lot of different reasons why Caitlin Clark was not in the 3-point shootout. I can understand them. There's all pretty good reasons, you know. Randolph saying, Lex, Kawhi has something that LeBron doesn't have unless he joins the Raptors, an NBA championship in 2 different countries. Yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely true. And in some ways, we'd like to see Kawhi get another championship in another country, and that's in Canada again. That's right. That's right. UC saying this. My one piece about LeBron's second decision is that Adam Silver is pathetic on his end for waiting on LeBron before he can finish the upcoming season schedule. It's frustrating. Adam bends the knee for him. Well, I'm going to say this. The schedule doesn't normally come out until like the end of August. So nothing is being delayed for LeBron. The thing is, the way they make the schedule is not the same as it used to be. It used to be a very laborious thing that was very difficult to figure out. But now they have computers do it and they figure it all out. They input certain things that they want. It makes total sense. In some ways, we can be mad about this, but it's not really a big deal. It's smart. They have to figure out the schedule around LeBron's last season so that they can figure out the key games and the important moments. It's kind of like how they built into our schedule when Vince retired a game that was commemorating him on his dunk anniversary. And there were a lot of things that they did with our schedule that year that were pertaining to helping us celebrate Vince Carter and retiring his jersey. So this is standard for the NBA. They want to build in these kind of things. And with the in-season tournament and everything, the logic puzzle of the NBA schedule is so hard to figure out that computers completely do it now. And it's not the old process of where it took weeks to figure out by people in their heads. Computers will spit out different versions of the schedule and they'll look at each one and they'll figure out which one makes the most sense. And it is important for them to know which team LeBron's on because of the marketing and also the key dates for like things like, well, whichever team he decides, well, when's going to be the last game in Cleveland? When's going to be the last game in Miami? When's going to be the last game in LA? Because those games will matter because it's a farewell tour and they're going to want to make sure that obviously it's a money-making machine. They're going to want to figure out how that they can make the most money off of the schedule. So it all makes sense to me. And I will remind people the schedule's not normally out at this point. It's usually out in mid-August to late August is when it comes out. It's usually when, G saying this, not sure if it was brought up, but a Heat YouTube leaked an intro press release with LeBron. I've not confirmed if this is their official site, but the date was set for July 27th. It's not even a Heat YouTuber. It was actually the franchise. They had released a couple of things officially by accident, kind of teasing that LeBron's coming back to Miami, whether that was by accident or not. But also we heard earlier from Reggie saying that Rich Paul and LeBron changed their mind at the last second, that they had made a decision, but now they've changed their mind. And we're thinking that it might be Miami, that he had committed to coming and joining Antetokounmpo and Pat Riley in Miami again. But he's changed his mind. He got cold feet and he's backed out. And that press conference was actually legit. It's just that LeBron has said, no, I'm not coming now. And he's making a different decision now is what I've heard. That's what I've heard. It seems like that might be it. G saying this, Sabrina also came back from injury more recently, foot and back issues. They were probably recommended to not enter by their teams as to not risk further back pain for their season is my guess. Yeah, I mean, I understand all that. You know, in some ways, my title for my stream is really just to point out that those two are key, huge 3-point shooters in the league. And why are they not involved? That's all it was. But we've gotten answers on that, and it makes sense. Selfishly would love a Mabrey, Sabrina, Clark, McBride shootout too. Will happen one year. Maybe not. Maybe will. Maybe won't. Maybe we'll get two of them in one of the years. I mean, I would have liked to have at least either Sabrina or Caitlin against Marina in this shootout. Because in some ways, it's like I want bragging rights. I want to see Marina Mabrey kick the shit out of either one of those two so that we can have bragging rights. That's part of it right there. And maybe that's why these people aren't showing up. You know, UC saying, I appreciate the context when the schedule is usually released. Just kind of got the impression that the schedule was going to release soon from those posts about Adam talking about LeBron's decision. Yeah, this is something that every single summer, Monique and I are going back and forth in private texts about when is the schedule coming out? I can't wait. When is the schedule coming out? I can't wait. And there's been different times. It's not a set time. In some ways, it can be late. It can be early. It can be right on time. Last year, it seemed like it came right on time. The year before, it was late. It did not come out for a while. And then it dropped. And I was like, oh my gosh, we've been waiting for this for so long. Yeah, we're used to this because Monique and I, we really look forward to when the schedule comes out. And, it's very normal that sometime in August, I'll get a text from Monique saying, when is this schedule going to come out? So it's too early. July is not when the schedule comes out. And so that's part of it, just to give you the context. Yeah. To give you the context. All right. We're at 2 hours exactly right now. So we'll go ahead and do the classic card and wrap it up really fast. Okay, here we go. We got an all-star card today. Full name answer on the classic card of the day, please. Let me try and get the glare of the computer light off of it so you guys can see it. All right, this is an all-star player for the West All-Stars. He's wearing number 24. He looks like a more recent player, but he isn't that person. That is who it is. Isaac's got it. It is Tom Chambers. A Tom Chambers all-star card. And Isaac Campbell's going to get the classic card of the day. In some ways, it's not that hard. So I'm going to give him 100 points. Not 100 points, 50 points for this one, Isaac. Sorry, because Tom Chambers is pretty recognizable. I was wondering if anybody would say Andre Kirilenko or maybe even Lauri Markkanen, but that is Tom Chambers, because from that angle, you could say it was either one of those other guys too. All right, let's see. Isaac, 50 points on the classic card points for today. Yeah, these have been easy cards. Yesterday we had Kyle Lowry, guys, was the classic card of the day. How easy can that be? All right, let me wrap it up real fast. We're proud of Marina Mabrey participating in the three-point shootout. The decisions of the other two, Clark and Ionescu, are their own. You just have to miss out. Sorry, ladies. And, well, we'll be excited to watch Marina in the three-point shootout on Friday night. So check it out. All right, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow for a Thursday Think Tank, and maybe I'll release the number to members of the channel. So Peter P., if you want to call tomorrow, maybe join the channel as a member, and I'll post the number in the members only content on the channel so that members can see the number, and then you can call in tomorrow and talk on the show if you want to. Yeah, UC saying Tom does not look like Lowry. I'm sorry. No, and the angle with the color, like look at it like this. Look at that. Look at that right there. Look at that right there. You gonna tell me that could be mistaken for Lauri Markkanen? Blonde hair and a very pronounced chin, and the angle from where he is. And Kirilenko could also be possibly, because this isn't very clear. The light's not very good, and the angle's not very good. So yeah, that's the only reason why I say it's the chin and the blonde hair. Is like, it's too old a card. The time of it gives it away, is saying, no, this is too old a card for it to be Markkanen. But yeah, I was wondering if anybody would say that, Andre Kirilenko. Yeah, I thought that might. No, that's not Kirilenko. That's Tom Chambers. That's Tom Chambers. Kareem saying Tom Chambers dunks from the 3-point line. Yeah, you know. If you know, you know. And I you know what, Kareem, you're getting a dunk for bringing that in. He comes in right at the last second. He's doing the exclamation point for the stream today. Kareem Thomas is making the allusion to the Tom Chambers dunk from the 3-point line. He gets a dunk for that. 84. You got 84, George Orwell. That's right. You got 84, my guy, on the dunk charts. That's right. Infamous saying the delay is not about LeBron. It's the TV sponsors. What? No. It is about LeBron. It's because LeBron, they got to lay out the final season for him with the scheduling and making sure that they get the right marks for him in places where he comes. So it is. I can totally see it being LeBron. The sponsors aren't going to hold up the schedule. No. It's LeBron. It is LeBron. It's absolutely LeBron. Yeah. It's kind of from the bottom. It's because it's looking up at him, right? Like normally Tom Chambers wouldn't look like him, but it's because it's looking from down, looking up at him. So it's just a little bit like him. Yeah. All right, y'all, I'm out. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's go, Marina. Let's go, Toronto Tempo. Let's be proud Toronto Tempo fans. That's right. Silver said the sponsors are begging him. They bugging him. Well, they want to know. Sure, they want to know for sure when the schedule is going to be. All right, I'm out. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you, Isaac, for the was not was. All right, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Later, bro. See you, Jamie K. Good to see you back in the chat again today. And you're just silent watching. All right, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's go, Toronto basketball. And let's watch some women's basketball tonight as Kayla Alexander and the women's team play UCLA tonight in Vancouver. It's going to be free on YouTube, so you guys can watch the game on YouTube. All right, I'm out. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Go touch grass. All right, I'll see y'all.